Imagine a man so extraordinary that after his death he was elevated to the status of a god, a sage who mastered architecture, medicine, spirituality, and the mysteries of the cosmos. His name was Imhotep, and his story has faded into the mists of time. Many believe he was the true Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary father of Hermetic wisdom. But who was this man really, a mere vizier of ancient Egypt, or a true avatar of divine knowledge? His life was not marked by military conquest or royal blood, but by a mind that seemed to stretch far beyond his era. Born during the 3rd dynasty of ancient Egypt, Imhotep served Pharaoh Djoser around 2700 BCE. While kings ruled with armies, Imhotep ruled with knowledge. Some say he was the son of a humble architect, others believe his lineage held sacred blood. What is certain is that he changed the very foundations of Egyptian civilization. As Djoser's vizier and chief architect, he introduced a radical innovation that would define Egypt forever: the pyramid. Before Imhotep, pharaohs were buried in flat mud brick tombs called mastebas, but Imhotep saw something greater. He envisioned a structure that would rise layer by layer, reaching for the heavens. Thus, the Step Pyramid at Saqqara was born, the first monumental stone building in human history. But for Imhotep, the pyramid was not just architecture, it was a sacred machine. In Egyptian belief, the pyramid represented the rays of Ra, the sun god, forming a spiritual ladder through which the soul of the pharaoh could ascend to the heavens. Imhotep crafted this structure with precision, designing secret chambers, symbolic corridors, and mystical geometry that reflected a deep esoteric understanding of cosmic order. His knowledge of architecture was fused with spiritual insight, something that scholars believe later shaped Hermetic traditions. Beyond his architectural genius, Imhotep was a healer, perhaps the first to approach medicine as a rational science. While most ancient cultures believed illness was punishment from the gods, Imhotep studied the body. He recorded symptoms, devised treatments, and understood that health was the result of harmony between body, mind, and spirit. Later Egyptian medical texts still reference his teachings, from surgical techniques to herbal remedies, like the use of honey as an antibiotic, something modern science only recently confirmed. Even Hippocrates, considered the father of Western medicine, was likely influenced by the Egyptian tradition rooted in Imhotep's work. To the Greeks, Imhotep became Asclepius, their god of medicine. He transcended human limitations and was seen as a divine being, an intermediary between the mortal and the divine. But his role extended far beyond the physical. He was a high priest of the god Ptah, creator of the universe, and a master of spiritual mysteries. In Egypt, knowledge was passed through sacred initiation. As a spiritual master, Imhotep likely trained disciples to perceive the invisible laws that governed life and death. Egyptian temples were not just places of worship, but spiritual universities where disciplines like astronomy, mathematics, and theology were taught in harmony. Imhotep's knowledge didn't die with him. It evolved. It passed through cultures and centuries, influencing mystical traditions far beyond the Nile. Over time, he came to be associated with Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom and writing, and eventually with Hermes Trismegistus, the mythical sage of Hermetic philosophy. The teachings attributed to Hermes, such as the unity between the macrocosm and microcosm and the pursuit of enlightenment through knowledge, mirror the very concepts Imhotep embodied. If Hermes Trismegistus was a symbolic figure created to preserve divine wisdom, Imhotep may have been his first true incarnation, the earthly origin of that ancient light. His grasp of reality extended into sacred geometry and the spiritual science of transformation, not merely of metals, as in later alchemy, but of the human soul. The journey from the material to the divine, the balance between spirit and matter, these were not abstract ideas to him, but living principles. During the Hellenistic period, when Greek and Egyptian cultures merged, Imhotep's influence deepened. He was revered not only as a god of healing, but as a sage whose knowledge shaped thinkers like Plato and Pythagoras. It's even suggested that his wisdom reached the Essenes, the Jewish mystics of the Dead Sea, whose practices resembled those found in Hermetic and Egyptian traditions. Few men in history were deified after death. Fewer still were worshipped for their wisdom. Imhotep was one of them. By the New Kingdom era, temples were dedicated to him, priests honored him, yet his tomb was never found. Was this a deliberate act by initiates who understood the importance of protecting the knowledge he left behind? Some believe his tomb hides a wisdom so powerful that its revelation could forever change how we see the universe. If he was the original Hermes Trismegistus, then his story isn't just ancient, it's eternal. True immortality, for Imhotep, wasn't about monuments, it was about knowledge. He saw the cosmos not as random, but as an ordered structure governed by laws that could be understood and applied. The teachings found in the Kabbalion, a foundational Hermetic text, reflect this vision. The principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Though codified centuries later, these principles echo what Imhotep may have already known and taught. Even the design of the Step Pyramid reflects these ideas. the symbolic journey of consciousness ascending from the earth toward the divine. Egyptian temples were aligned with stars, built to channel cosmic energies. Rituals were performed in harmony with celestial movements. The human body itself was seen as a reflection of the cosmos. Imhotep, as a master of both science and spirit, may have been among the first to integrate this sacred knowledge into practical application, not only to heal bodies, but to heal souls. Everything he built followed mathematical and spiritual principles. Later traditions like Pythagoreanism and sacred geometry likely drew from this well of ancient insight. And if his knowledge predated formal Hermeticism, we must ask, where did it come from? Some believe that Imhotep inherited this knowledge from a lost civilization, perhaps even Atlantis. As described by Plato, another advanced culture that vanished before Egypt rose. He may have been the last guardian of a wisdom, passed down through ages, carefully preserved in temples and sacred texts. But in Egypt, such knowledge was secret. It was for the initiated only. What Imhotep taught may have remained hidden, known only to those who had prepared their minds and spirits to receive it. As time passed, and as Egypt changed under foreign influence, this knowledge fragmented, scattered through history, buried in symbols and forgotten texts. Still, echoes remain. In medieval alchemy, in Hermetic doctrines, and in esoteric teachings that have survived in whispers and symbols, Imhotep understood something humanity still strives to remember, that real power lies not in controlling the physical world, but in understanding the invisible forces that shape it. If he left behind clues, they are etched into stone, hidden in geometry, and written in symbolic language for those wise enough to see. In various esoteric traditions, it is believed that great masters transcend death, returning in new forms when the world needs them. Hermeticism speaks of such initiates who carry ancient wisdom from age to age. Could Imhotep be one of these timeless guides, appearing across the centuries to remind humanity of its divine nature? Perhaps he walks among us again, not in body, but through the return of his wisdom. For the return of a master is not always physical. Light is the reawakening of their truth. Today, science and spirituality are once again drawing close. The gap between materialism and mysticism is narrowing. Modern medicine explores vibration and energy. Quantum physics speaks of consciousness shaping reality. Sacred geometry is re-emerging in architecture and design. These are reflections of the same truths Imhotep once embodied, that all things are interconnected, that the human being is more than matter, and that wisdom is the bridge between what is seen and what is eternal. The question remains, are we ready for his return? As a man, but as a message. Throughout history, knowledge has been feared, hidden, even destroyed. Great temples have been demolished, libraries burned, truth driven underground. But truth does not vanish. It waits, and when the time is right, it rises. Imhotep stands as a symbol of that eternal truth, the sage who became divine, not through power or conquest, but through the unity of science, spirit, and wisdom. In remembering Imhotep, we remember a time when knowledge was sacred and wisdom was the highest form of devotion. His legacy invites us to live with the same balance, to seek truth with humility, and to see the divine not above us, but within us. May his story inspire a new generation to pursue knowledge as a path to light.